Hello and welcome back to manvfilm. It is time for another top 10 of movies that you can watch right now for February 2021. And I don't know if you're like me, suffering a little bit of the lockdown blues. It's trying to really get to me a little bit, but I'm using escapism in the form of movies to try and block out the outside trauma that's happening in the real world. So here's 10 movies that I hope let you escape just a little bit. Number 10, Blade. In a world where vampires walk the earth, Blade has a goal. His goal is to rid the world of all vampire evil. When he witnesses a vampire bite Dr. Karen Jensen, he fights away the beast and takes Jensen back to his hideout. Here, along with Abraham Whistler, Blade attempts to help heal Jensen. The vampire Quinn, who was attacked by Blade, reports back to his master Frost, who's planning a huge surprise for the human population. Blade is a phenomenal movie that was way beyond its time when it first came out, and it still stands up today, opening with an outstanding rave sequence that is etched in my brain and is in just pure joy. Blade opens up with Wesley Snipes as our hero. It's got Chris Christopherson as Whistler. It's got a wonderful bad guy. It has this whole kind of world built into it that's really expansive and really exciting, and it's got some kick-ass action scenes. It's brilliant. If it's a while since you've seen it, or if you haven't seen it at all, it's time to check it out. Number 9, True Story. Michael Finkel, a recently terminated New York Times journalist who's struggling to work after a story gone wrong, receives a phone call from a man regarding an FBI most wanted individual named Christian Longo, who's been captured and claimed to be living as Finkel. Longo and Finkel meet and form a potentially marriage-shattering bond while Longo is in prison awaiting his trial. Finkel exchanges journalism tips for the real events behind Longo's alleged heinous acts of murdering his family. True Story is a really difficult kind of drama to get into. You're ultimately stuck with two characters who have fibbed a little bit, one more than the other. They've definitely bent the truth, and they are relating tales to one another to get to the heart of a matter that is horrific and really, it's just terrible really. But to see these two performers, James Franco and Jonah Hill, doing outstanding performances is just wonderful. It's their performances that carry this through the twisting, turning tales that these two rather unlikable characters tell each other. It's really an actor's showcase in a really difficult story. But and then number 8, Fallen. After the execution of crazy serial killer Edgar Reese, Detective John Hobbs thought his nightmare would finally be over. However, he catches wind of a murder that shares similarities to the killings, and eventually discovers that the serial killings are in fact the actions of a malevolent fallen angel named Azazel. As Hobbs tries to solve the mystery of Azazel, he must also find a way to do the impossible. Stop a fallen angel who can possess any living creature it comes into contact with. Fallen is probably the only horror that Denzel Washington has ever done, and it is a cracker. One that you may not have seen. It revolves around him hunting down an angel who can simply move from body to body by touch, possessing people. And it's all done through this really wonderful idea of the Rolling Stones song Time Is On My Side, as it's used as a calling card to let us know who is now the angel. It's wonderfully atmospheric, twisted, and at the heart of it is a really good mystery as well. Touches on a little bit of noir in amongst its storytelling that I really like. Number 7, The Wedding Singer. Robbie Hart is singing the hits of the 80s at weddings and other celebrations. He can also keep the party going in good spirit. He knows what to say and when to say it. Julia is a waitress at the events where Robbie performs. When both of them find someone to marry and prepare for their weddings, it becomes clear that they've chosen the wrong partners. The Wedding Singer is brilliant because of the two performances. Adam Sandler, Drew Barrymore together just have this wonderful charisma. And the fact that this is set in the 80s just adds a whole new level of kitsch and humour to it. Now, it's not really expansive in the world of romantic comedies. It's nothing really new, but it does the typical tropes really well. And at the end of it, you've had a few chuckles, you like the main protagonists, and you've got a big smile on your face. What more do you really want? Number 6, Suicide Squad. With Superman dead, the world needs a new band of superheroes to step into the breach. Senior US intelligence officer Amanda Waller comes up with a daring plan. Use extreme criminals with special abilities to fight crime, in exchange for them receiving reduced sentences. Suicide Squad was a movie I couldn't really connect with in the cinema, but having a little bit of distance and just putting it on as an action movie, it was really fun. I love the musical cues, I love the big expansive world, I love the ridiculousness of the story and the over-the-top acting of some of the characters. It's all wonderful and stuff that I really do appreciate now. I've had a little bit of a step back from it. Even the Joker is pretty fun in this one. Number 5, Hugo. Hugo is an orphan boy who works on the clocks and is trying to survive while hiding from the relentless yet clumsy and stupid railway inspector in the train station in Paris during the 30s. During these struggles, Hugo gets interested and tangled in a mystery involving his automaton left by his dead father. Martin Scorsese's love letter to old cinema, particularly the cinema of Georges Méliès, and I think it is wonderfully done as we follow our character as he tries to figure out what his father was telling him, as he tries to figure out his place in the world, as he makes connections. It's just wonderfully realised, it's sumptuously shot by Scorsese, and it's just a terrific tale, exceedingly well told. Number 4, Breakdown. Jeff and Amy Taylor are moving to California and must drive across the country. When they find themselves stranded in the middle of a desert with hardly anyone or anything around, their trip comes to a sudden halt. Amy had taken a ride with a friendly trucker to a small diner to call for help, but after a while Jeff becomes worried. He finds that no one in the diner has seen or heard from his wife. When he finds the trucker who gave Amy the ride, he swears he's never seen either of them before. Breakdown is one of those mid-90s thrillers that I often go back to. Kurt Russell is one of my favourite actors, here as the everyman whose wife just disappears without a trace, and he's struggling, panicking, doing everything he can to find her. And it's just a wonderful performance from JT Walsh as a potential bad guy in this one, and it's really twisted tale that I don't really want to spoil too much about because it's really fun. Number 3, Eastern Promises. Nikolai, who is both ruthless and mysterious, has ties to one of the most dangerous crime families in London. He crosses paths with Anna, a midwife who has come across potentially damaging evidence against the family, which forces him to set in motion a plan of deceit, death and retribution. Eastern Promises stars Viggo Mortensen as Nikolai, and it is a powerhouse performance. This is a movie all about bad people doing bad things, and we follow this kind of enforcer for the Russian mob in London in this kind of drab tale which is punctuated by these horrifically realistic violent sequences that will both disgust you and marvel at how realistic it comes across. It's one of those tales that's easy to bypass, but it's so rich with various different tacts that I really recommend this one. Number 2, Widows. 4 women with nothing in common except a debt left behind by their dead husband's criminal activities, set in contemporary Chicago amid a time of turmoil, tensions build when Veronica, Alice, Linda and Belle take their fate into their own hands and conspire to forge a future on their own terms. Widows, directed by Steve McQueen, has one hell of a cast. It is truly ridiculous the amount of talent that he's acquired for this movie, and it tells the tale of 4 women who feel themselves just kind of left out in the cold. Their partners have died horribly, they were notable robbers, and they decide the only way to get out of an outstanding debt and to set themselves up for the future is to continue the heist of their dead husbands that was planned. And it's just about them coping with the loss, coping with reality, having to deal with the world situation. And it's expertly shot, wonderful cast doing excellent stuff, and really a highlight. Number 1, The Shallows. A medical student, Nancy, takes some time off from her studies and heads to a secluded beach in Mexico to surf. While surfing there, she's attacked by a large shark, leaving her injured and stranded on a rock not too far out to sea. What follows is a battle of wits and wills between her and the shark. For my number 1, I thought I'd go with something a little bit more pulpy, a little bit more just pure entertainment. The Shallows. Blake Lively versus a shark. And it's wonderful. It's really suspenseful, filled with tension, and yes, it is extremely ridiculous and just plain silly at certain points, but you go with it because I liked this character. I liked her tenacity and will to survive. I liked the tenacity of the shark as well, because you'd think this thing would just go away, but no, it stays there deliberately to pick her off. Silly, but incredibly fun. I hope you like it. So there we have it, 10 great movies for you to check out this month. I hope you find something to take away a little bit of the stress or trauma that's happening in the real world. I know I need some of that. If there's anything that I've missed off my list, or if there's anything you can suggest for me to check out to help me out, feel free to do so in the comment box below, and I'll see you next time on Man v Film.